My name is Alexandra James, and today I'll be doing the Risk Management Review for the Software Engineering Project Undergraduate Group number 2. So to begin, we'll be going through the basics of our risk plan. So we'll talk about what we define as a risk, how we categorise them, the team accountabilities, roles and responsibilities, the rules and mechanisms that we have for handling a risk, what the assessment criteria is and what is an acceptable risk to have, and then also our mitigation and contingency plan. So to begin, what is a risk and how are they categorised? So we define a risk as uncertain events or conditions that, if they occur, will have a negative impact on the project's objectives. And we define these under 2 categories. We have our project risks, which include risks resulting from breakdowns in internal procedures, people and systems, and then we also have our software risks, which include risks related to the robot, the code, the repository, and any other documentation that we have of these processes. So the above 2 risk categories will be mitigated through planning. However, in the case of an unexpected event where planning has failed, consultation with other group members will be held to discuss how to handle the situation. So we also have risk owners for these risks. So obviously the whole responsibility of the team is to ensure that if a risk is noticed, that it is raised to the appropriate person. And the appropriate persons for this is either the development or administration risk manager. So the development risk manager handles the software risks, whilst the administration risk manager handles the project risks. And these are the people that a risk needs to be raised to. So when a risk is noticed by a team member, they'll either tell the administration or development person who is responsible for the risk management, and from here the risk will be discussed and then categorised with a risk level based on the risk matrix, which is seen as in the software project management plan. And then from here an action will be put into place to either eliminate or reduce that risk, and then all this information will then be recorded in the risk management table, and then the risk will also be given a risk identifier. So from here, if a risk needs to be escalated further, the people who are responsible for the risk management will need to be notified. So the handling of the risk can then be revisited. So this is how we assess our risk. We assess it based on the likelihood of occurring and then also the impact that it will have on the objectives of our project. And we deem an acceptable risk to have as either having a risk level of medium or lower. If it has anything in medium or high, we just need to define that as unacceptable. And then this risk must either be eliminated or it must be reduced to the point that it has a risk level of medium. So now I'll be going over some examples of our risk identification and analysis. So this is an example of what the software risk management table will look like. We have our risk identifier, RS being risk software, and then we also have our risk, the likelihood of occurring, the impact, the risk level, the priority, and then its action. So whenever we write a risk statement, it must have the unexpected event that will occur, what will cause this event, and then also what it will affect. So as we can see, our first risk, the event is the robot can't recognise the difference between a survivor and an object. And then the cause of this is it's due to an issue that is not found in the code during the testing process. And then what will actually happen if this risk occurs? It will stop the objectives of detecting and recording from taking place. So as we can see, this could possibly happen, and if it does happen, the impact is quite severe. And this gives us a risk level of medium to high. And from here we've given a priority of 1. Now this is the case as there are only 2 risks listed on this table at the moment, and we give it a priority based on its risk level. And then from here we also put an action in place to either eliminate this risk or reduce it. So the action that we've put into place is a rigorous testing plan must be put into place, and then it must also be ensured that it is followed. So I also have another example of our project risk management table, and as you can see, it's exactly where it just contains risks that are associated to the project. Now, when we actually come up with these risks, or if a risk is noticed, we need to ensure that enough information has been collected about the risk to actually make a decision about it. So we ensure this happens by talking to the whole entire team and then also by talking to the client. In addition, when these risks are assessed, every person is also spoken to. So that includes the development team, the administration team, and the client, so all stakeholders. So as you can see, a clear plan for risk monitoring and review has been defined, and this plan integrates with the risk planning and identification analysis. I hope that is clear, and thank you for listening.